Today I've been asked to talk about veins in leaves, and I'm going to take a pattern from the traditional Bedfordshire Lace in 20 Lessons by Bobbin. This book's an invaluable book when you start in Bedfordshire, although it is getting increasingly difficult to get hold of now. And I'm going to take this little pattern here and show you the two different veins in this leaf, the vertical vein and the horizontal vein in this design. I'm not going to start the whole of the piece, I'm just going to start it at the top of this leaf, just to be able to show you the vein, the vertical vein on this one. So I'm going to start it as if pears have come in from both sides for the two plaits, by putting in two pears on each side. And these are just going to be on temporary pins just to be able to start it. So starting with a windmill at the top as if you're coming in, and then I can take the two temporary pins out. Now what I've got to decide now is which direction I'm going to work it first. And this, as the pin on the left is higher than the pin on the right, that's the direction I'm going to go. So I'm going to take the pear out and put the pin in cloth stitch, and then cloth stitch back through, just to get this piece started. Now on this piece, I think I'm probably working in a slightly finer thread than the book states. I haven't got the correct thread that it states, so I'm using something that is very similar. Now on this, if I was working it myself, for myself, it looks in the book as though this has been put in here to leave out, but I'm going to just put a pear in there to fill up the space. With Bedfordshire, you have to make these decisions all the time where you're going to put pears in, and sometimes you don't follow the book, but if you know the rules, you can put pears in where you need them. And you're adding in all the time as the leaf is getting wider. Some of the places you're putting pears in to leave them out, and other places you're actually taking them in. And again, I'm going to put one in on this side, just by hanging on a temporary support pin and cloth stitching through it. And don't forget to drop the pin down each time. I usually come across before I drop it down. Now the vertical line on this pattern shows that it is a vertical vein, and whenever you get a line marking for a vein, it means where the worker is crossing this piece, it will be twisted. You're always twisting the ones that cross the vertical or the horizontal line. So on a vertical vein you cross the workers, and on a horizontal vein you twist the passives that are over that line. And I'll show you that in practice in a minute. Just get a few more pairs in so that we can make the cloth stitch reasonably dense. And as I say, with Bedfordshire you do have this option. If you haven't got quite the right thread, you can just put extra pairs in cloth stitch areas. You do have to be a little bit careful, because if it's too thin, then the plaits won't look appropriate as well. But if it's cloth stitch, you can put extra pairs in. Now here, as you see on the right hand side, you would have a plait coming in. I'm just going to add one pair because I've been putting pairs in on each pinhole, and so I probably don't need two pairs at this point. I've put them in to make them slightly more regular and make it more even on the piece. But if you're working it as an entire motif, then you follow the directions that the pattern gives you. And it's beginning to look quite nice and dense, of the consistent density that you would need for Bedfordshire. Now this time as I come to the line, I've got to start putting twists in, and let's see how many pairs I've got on each side. That's quite good. I've actually got an even number on each side. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 on that side and 4 on the right hand side. So I know that this is the centre of this leaf. And I start off with 2 twists. The book says 3 for the rest of the twists, but 2 just gets the vein started. Whenever you put twists in lace, it makes a hole. And in this case, that is what we're actually wanting, to form the central vein of the leaf. Now I've been asked to talk about veins in leaves. I'm not quite sure which veins, if there's anything specific you want to see, I can do a specific one, or I'll slowly work through many different types of veins that occur, and they will be coming in future videos. But today I'm just going to do the simple veins. These are the ones that you typically would work when you first start. And I'm now putting 3 twists on in the centre every time my worker reaches that line. And you continue to do this until you reach the bottom of the line. And again, here you note there will be a plait coming in, but it will go straight out, so I'm not going to add any because I'm just doing the leaf for the demonstration. Sometimes you will put 2 twists on if you only want a small vein, but this one it specifies in the book 3, and because I'm using finer thread I'm using the 3 as well. Oops, just moved it about a bit. Sometimes quite tricky filming yourself doing lace because you forget to look at the camera because you're watching the lace. I'll just continue to work this off camera till I get to the last row, and then I'll show you what happens there. We've now gotten a nice leaf vein formed down the centre, a nice row of holes, nice and even, and as you can see I've got probably one more row to do and that will finish the vein. So because I wanted to close the vein, I do 1 or 2 twists less. But this time I think I'll do 2. I did 2 at the start of the vein. You reduce the number and this closes the gap up and helps you to make the cloth stitch nice under the vein. So we just did 2 twists there, and then the next row I completely ignore the vein and just work straight across in cloth stitch. And this closes up the vein to finish the leaf. And use just a few more rows to finish the actual leaf, with leaving pears out as well to get rid of the pears, ready to go into plaits. And this one, you may think I'm forgetting to leave them out, but this would have come in on this side and then left out, so I still haven't got rid of any of the pears yet. And because I put more in, I may have to throw pears out, which I shall just show you how to do once I've counted up how many pears I want to finish with. Again, on the left hand side I've got a plait coming in and going straight out, so I only actually need 4 pairs to finish the plait with plaits. I'll just do another row and then we'll start throwing pears out. Now to throw pears out, you take a pair that are not next door to each other, so not in the actual pair they're alongside, but next door but one, so that you don't leave any holes in the cloth stitch. And because I've got 9 pairs in here and I only need 4, I've got to throw a few out. So I look at which side looks the most dense, and at the moment it looks like it's on the left. So I'll take a pair from over here. Don't take the outside one, but I'm going to take the next door, put one to each other. Just zoom out so you can see what I'm doing with the bobbins. I'm not taking the outside one, these are my workers, and I'll take next door but one. And I lift the 2 up and literally just place them to the back of the pillow. And these will be trimmed off once I get access with the scissors to cut them off. and they're cut off with the scissors flat on the lace and snipped. Don't put your scissors down into the lace as you will cut it. Now you can see that vein is now closing up quite nicely. I'm going to do the same this side and throw another pair out when I put this pin in. So again, taking a pair that are not next door to each other. So I don't want the edge one, I want the next one in, and put those to the back. By doing this, if you took them next door to each other, you would probably get a hole, and we want to eliminate that if at all possible. So I've now got another couple of rows to do. I've still got 3 pairs to get rid of. So again, repeat the process on the next couple of rows, taking a pair out and laying them back. And this is reducing the bulk of the leaf and making it nice and neat at the same time. Sometimes you have to work a little bit further than you would think, because you don't want to get too thin before the end, but you've also got to keep an eye on the number of pairs you need to get rid of. Now at the moment I've got 5 pairs, so once I've put the last pin in, I'll be able to throw the last pair out. And that means I'm down to 4 pairs to finish the 2 plaits. Now I'm going to take this one as if it was going to go in there, and then just bring it around to come into the leaf underneath to show you the horizontal vein. And I'll just get that set up off camera and then show you what happens with the horizontal. So those 2 are ready to come in, and I'll just set this up and come back to you. I've set up this leaf now, I've done the cloth stitch and I've worked as far as the line. You can just see the line in the cloth stitch, and what you have to do is to make the decision which row you actually work it on. With Bedfordshire, as I've said many times before, when you get a line, it means somewhere around about this point you work whatever it is, and in this case it's a vein. I could have worked it on the previous row, but I decided to work it on this row where I can literally just see the vein line. So now you look at it, and any pair of passives that cross this vein have to be twisted. So you look at it very carefully and decide where you want the vein to start. It's your lace. You could decide you wanted a shorter vein in it, or you could decide to make it slightly longer. I do like to leave at least 2 or 3 pairs at each end of it to make the cloth stitch, and I think this will be the first one for me. So I'm going to put 3 twists on each of those pairs that cross the line. Now some patterns will have pins in this. You could put pins in if you wanted. It's not obligatory on this pattern. If you've got pins in, then you will put the pins between the pairs. And at this side I haven't actually worked it quite to the point, so I'm going to make sure I leave a couple of pairs there, and I think this one will be the last one. No, the previous one will be the last one. I picked up the wrong one there, so I'm going to use that as the last one of the vein, and then I'll literally just work across it, and those twists will give you a nice horizontal vein in the leaf. Now this cloth stitch takes a little bit longer, which is why I did all the preparation before the vein off camera, so you haven't got too long a video to sit and wait and watch to get to the interesting and the technique that you need. And some veins like this are quite a long row and just take a little bit of time. Now here I would have a plait coming in and going out. I'm not going to put those in, although it would fill up the point much better. Now this vein, as you can see, is quite tight, so if you wanted to put the pins in, that will keep the holes open much better. And I think I'll just pop a few in, and you pop them in along the line, and it helps to keep that vein open. Many techniques like this would have been worked originally, historically, without the pins, because pins took time to put in, as you can see there. But it does make the vein much more distinct and helps keep the vein open. So I hope that's been helpful and that you found it interesting. That's the two sorts of simple veins. The next video I will cover some more different veins in bigger leaves where you drop pears across, use kiss stitches, all sorts of techniques like that. And I'll eventually go on to doing boxed veins, the side veins that you get in bigger leaves as well. They'll all come in different videos, so you've just got small bite-sized pieces of learning at a time, and I hope that's helpful in that way. If there's anything else you want to see, give me a thumbs up, leave me a comment, and I'll add it to the list to be filmed later. Thanks for watching, please subscribe and you'll hear of all the new videos coming soon.